I have that slight feeling of just like just got something done, or I'll go into it soon, but like the 1.7.20 update is up on GitHub now, so it feels a little bit like an official release or something, even though it's still not. So I'll get into details on that, but it still has this kind of feeling of like, I'm done. Like after you finish a test or something, that kind of like that feeling of relief. Just like, stress gone. Here I am again with my boring Darth Vader coffee cup. So I'll give a minute or two more, let folks trickle in, then we'll get started. So yes, spoiler alert, we're going to be doing some Explodinary 2.3 today. So Sock and crew are going at light speed getting these updates done, which is awesome. So it means we have new stuff to play today. Hello there. Oh, Obi-Wan. Did any of you guys watch the Obi-Wan series, by the way? I watched like the first episode and it was kind of slow, or I didn't wind up finishing it, but I love me some Obi-Wan, but I didn't watch the whole series. Cool. Yeah, I heard it seemed like the general consensus was like the first few episodes were kind of like meh, which is kind of I think why I kind of tapered off. But then I heard like it got better at the end. I heard there was some good stuff. Opinion on Pluby? Should I know what Pluby is? What is Pluby? Yeah, I, I love Ewan as Obi too. I was so excited when they announced that series. It was just like, oh, he's coming back. Favorite person ever. Oh, that's a cute cat. Very round. Oh yeah, yeah. That would have been interesting to see Hayden Christensen as, yeah, like mid, because we saw him like at the very beginning, like becoming Darth Vader. But it'd be cool to see him like like as Darth Vader has been Darth Vader for a while, sort of thing. So I don't know. Maybe I should bite the bullet and watch the rest of it. Sweet. Well, happy birthday in advance. Stinks to have an exam so close to your birthday. Oh, basketball match. Cool. I was uh, I was torn. I'm totally not. I mean, I don't watch basketball too regularly, but in the NBA series was the Los Angeles Lakers versus Golden State Warriors, and normally I live in San Francisco, which is like Golden State Warriors territory. Um, but for a few years now, I'm living down in Southern California in Los Angeles. So like it was a little bit like I should be rooting for the Lakers because I'm here, but I was kind of wanting the Warriors to win. But then the Lakers won, so what what can you do? Oh, you're not late. We're just kind of it's like pre-chat right now, just haven't gotten into anything meaty. But yeah, good luck on the basketball match too. I feel like I'm self-conscious now if I like make a crazy face or something like, oh crap, this is going to be showing up in in emojis and stuff. What is that? Salam alaikum. Does that mean something? Or greetings? Yeah, that would be my guess. Hopefully. Hopefully it's not like I hate you all. Oh, guess we got ignored. Oh, well. Oh, can show us how to gain chain. Okay, sorry, I see what you wrote up here. Game FPS that you mentioned last time. Yes, I will do that. That's a good way to kick off here. Okay. How to change game FPS. Okay, so here I have my handy dandy terminal. Make sure this is working. CMake. All right. So, okay, so here we have the regular like CMake build of the game. If you have the GitHub repo, you should be able to make the CMake build. It basically, it's going to compile most of the game yourself, except for like the plus library, the little like plus precompiled bit that it has to download, which was called internal until I renamed it last night and, broke my CI. But anyway, that's a side note. So somewhere in here is, let's see if I can find, there's like a timer where basically on that version, it sets it up to render exactly 60 frames per second, regardless of what your monitor does, which is, dumb. But that code was written a long time ago and just needs to be updated to do something smarter. So for one, this is if you're looking in the latest 1.7.20 stuff, which is up on GitHub as of now. But a lot of stuff has moved around, so I would suggest, taking a look there, because otherwise you'll have to like find things in different places that I'm going to show you here. But so source Ballistica, that'd be under base. So base is all like the basic stuff like graphics and audio and most of the engine. I think graphics server. Let's take a guess at graphics server. I'm just going to search for 60. Oh, here we go. I think this is it. So graphicserver.cc. For janky old non-event push mode, fall back on a timer for rendering. So this is basically the guts of what is doing the rendering in here. So it sets up a timer in this event loop, which runs 1,000 milliseconds per second divided by 60. Well, it runs 60 times per second, and then it renders a frame. So if we change this to 20, build the game, let's see what happens. This should, there we go. Now we're running at 20 frames per second, so it looks all crappy and janky. So theoretically, if you have a high frame rate monitor and you come in here and change that to 120 or whatever your monitor is running at, it should look better. So yeah. This monitor is not running at 120 hertz, so I can't actually test it. Or actually, well, it's weird. I'm mirroring my built-in, like the laptop screen does run at 120, but the screen I'm mirroring it to is 60. So I'm curious how that would work. I imagine it'll probably run at 120, but I might not actually see it. So let's try. Burp. Okay, so yeah, it's close to 120. So this method, yeah, this is, on a side note, this is not a good way to do things. Like, it's not good to like have a hard-coded timer like this and just like trying to render 60 times a second. Like most good systems, you set up something where you get like a message, the app gets a message or something like every time the monitor is about to refresh, and then your game can like sync up with that. So on other platforms, like on Android, that's basically how it works. On like Mac, that's how it works. This is just for like the fallback default SDL builds. So we need to, at some point, I'd like to update this code and see if it's possible to make it do something smarter so it like always runs at your monitor frame rate. But for now, that's how you do it. So anyway, long story long. Sorry, hopefully I haven't been ignoring a ton of people over here. So hope that made sense, but yeah, that's how to mess with frame rate if you want to. Play today. Yes, we are going to play today. There will be some, we're going to play some Explodinary. Oh, I guess you already said that. Yeah, going to do some Explodinary in a bit. What if we said 120 but monitor is only 60? It depends on a few factors. We'd have to actually check. It depends on like if vertical syncing is on. Like vertical syncing means that like when you send a frame to the renderer or when you send a frame to OpenGL or whatever, it will like hold on to it until your monitor is ready to sync. So then like even if you're rendering faster than 60, like that frame is going to sit there and block for like, until the next frame happens. So you can't actually render faster than 60. Even if the app is trying, it's going to like send a frame out and then like that frame won't actually get through for, 1/60th of a second. So anyway, yeah, if you have vertical blanking on or something like that, it will probably lock at 60 and hopefully be reasonable aside from that. If you don't have that on, it probably will render at 120. It's just your monitor will only show you like every other frame. So, a lot of people test like that. I remember back in the day, everyone used to like test with Quake 3 or something like, how many frames does this get on Quake 3? And, crazy graphics cards would be getting up to like, oh, this gets like 537 frames per second on Quake 3. And of course, your monitor is not showing all of those. It just means that like it's rendering those frames and then it's just like throwing them away because your monitor can only show 60 things per second or, whatever speed your monitor is. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah, I wouldn't do something crazy like set it to 1,000. I imagine that might break some logic somewhere. That might do something silly or it might just be super, super wasteful and it'll be like rendering way more than it needs to be. And like if you're on a laptop or something, you definitely wouldn't want to do that because like your laptop is probably going to be like burning through battery as fast as it can. So it's good to, not render more than you need to usually. I guess if you're on a desktop and it's, you got good cooling, and the worst that could happen is you hear your fans spin up more than they should or something. But yeah. But that's the hope. I need to find out, like I haven't looked in like the latest SDL stuff lately to see if there's like a nice clean cross-platform way to find out like, hey, like let me know what speed this monitor is running at. I mean, you can kind of rely on that vertical refresh stuff. Like when that is enabled, like I said, that'll prevent frames from completing, until the next monitor blanking period happens. So like we could maybe rely on that, but I'm not sure if that is always available or anyway, we'll have to figure it out. So, and I forgot, like, is the VSync control enabled in Windows or is that disabled there or does that work? I think all that stuff goes through SDL. So it kind of depends on if SDL exposes that or if I exposed it. I know like on the Mac version, let me see actually. This is getting me curious. I haven't looked into this graphics stuff in a while, so my memory is a little fuzzy on like what's there. So this is the default like SDL build. Settings, graphics. Oh yeah, okay, so we got vertical sync. I found though, like on the Mac version actually, vertical sync is slightly messed up. Like in my case, like if I do never, maybe not in this one, but or maybe I fixed it. I don't remember. I'll have to look into that. But there were some cases where like it was using the refresh rate of the wrong monitor or something. So I'd be displaying on like my 60 hertz external monitor, but it would be rendering it, or like the vertical sync would somehow be like messed up to where it would try to do 120 or something. So anyway, all that stuff is complicated, but I need to revisit that and try to make it behave better everywhere. Oh, so that vertical sync is not on Windows. Maybe I didn't expose it there. There's not. I mean, this is all like a raw SDL build, so I probably should have. But yeah, if you can confirm, if vertical sync is not available on Windows, we should probably make it available on Windows. That could help too. We could always add a control here for just like, hey, pick your frame rate. Oh no, it's empty. Okay. So yeah, that would be another thing on the to-do list for Windows. We could dig in there now and like see why that's not there. Well, I don't want to waste too much time on that, but So yeah, I'm not sure if there's a technical reason why that wouldn't be enabled on Windows, unless I'm doing something that's like Mac specific, but I want to be doing, like for this SDL build, when you do like make CMake, this is using the SDL library, which is totally cross-platform. So I would like for that build to be just using like raw SDL stuff as much as possible, which means it should have the same features on Windows and Mac and Linux. So there shouldn't be, at this point, there shouldn't be like a technical reason why we shouldn't expose like the vertical syncing stuff on Windows and Linux. What is this? Throws an error every time near completion? What? Oh, uploading. Oh, yeah. It's a bummer. I'm sorry I can't support, I mentioned this before, but I can't support Windows 7 anymore just because Python no longer supports Windows 7, and I'm kind of limited to what Python supports. So unfortunately, I think Windows 8 is the newest. Not that I feel like no one has Windows 8. Everyone skipped to 10. Hello, Lemon. Every time I take a drink of coffee, I want to make like loud slurping noises after whoever it was added that. Someone made that video of it. It was awesome. Cool. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that could be a fun map dynamic. That's cool. That'd be yeah, that could be neat to like include as a standard thing or something. Or if it winds up being fun, you know, you could definitely like make some interesting map designs with, you know, some like back ways to, yeah, like get to the other base or something. Or like a one-way thing where like you go through a portal and it like drops you into the other base, but you can't use the portal to get back because, you know, it like drops you from the air or something like that. Oh, what's the second one? Oh, that's cool. That's super cool. That makes me think like that could be a fun like standard weapon, like something like that, like a gravity bomb. I had thought about that before, but you know, like if we added some cool sound effects and like even like a warping like distorting filter or something to like show that everything's getting sucked in. Kind of like how you know there's the little like brief filter, like the distort filter when a bomb goes off, like the explosion filter, you see a little bit of like slight distortion. We could do like the opposite or just like you see stuff like sucking in. That'd be super cool. But yeah, that's awesome. Like these would both be fun ideas to play with. Black hole fear unlocked. I know Sock is making me feel like super self-conscious. I've been sitting here working on 1.7.20 for like 3 months now or something. He releases like an update every like 4 days or something. It's like, dang, so fast. And they're all like good updates too. It's not like, you know, he's just like throwing stuff out there. But yeah, I guess that to be fair, yeah, there is like it's just kind of funny, like with the bomb squad code base. If I want to change like one little thing or like want to organize one thing, it winds up taking like hours of going through like all the code and like doing renaming a bajillion things and stuff. So it is like it's definitely slow to work with, but it's not, you know, it's not bad. It just takes longer than it used to when it was smaller. What the heck? That is crazy. That would be. I feel like that's funny looking. I feel like it would be so hard to like control, especially. That's why when I made you know, flying mode, I made it in 2D just because trying to like judge where you are in 3 dimensions if when you're flying, it just seems like it's very difficult. I mean, in that case, it's silly. Like they're getting like sucked together and stuff, so it's almost more just like watch the chaos, I guess. Um, It would be interesting though, if anyone has the or has played the VR version, like something like that. I wonder like if that would actually be controllable in VR because you can, you know, you can actually like kind of see where your stuff is in space. Like it makes me wonder if, you know, different dynamics could work better. But then I don't think we'd want to like gear the game towards that because then like you'd have to have VR to enjoy those parts, which, you know, I I wouldn't want to do that, I don't think. But super cool. Bomb Squad 1.4 scripts. It would be so weird to like at this point the 1.4 scripts seem like so long ago. Like it would be weird to look back on them and be like, what? Just all like the camel casing and just like the I don't know the giant files and stuff. I'm happy to be in the place where that does seem like long ago, or you know that does seem like oh the old way, as opposed to like for a while I was a little bit like what's this weird 1.5 stuff? Who would do this? Like everything is in 1.4. but thankfully I think we've mostly transitioned. Yeah, I am. I'm getting super excited about, once this 1720 update is done, which, it's getting very, very close. The fact that it's in GitHub means it's very close. Um, yeah, I'm super excited to start on Scene v2, which is where we'll have asset downloads. So I'm really excited to hopefully make things like map making and stuff like that way, way, way easier very soon. So yes. You're super awesome at like writing English and everything. So well, I hope you're well. Again, I'm not gonna judge if you're uncomfortable or whatever, but yeah. Um, so anyway, yeah, just to go over that real quick, like the 1.7 update, 1.7.20 update. Um, Again, it is now on GitHub. So if any of you want to poke around with this, as of yesterday or whenever, it's up on GitHub. So if you go to the Ballistica repo, or go to ballistica.net, there's a link at the bottom if you want to get there, or you can just find it directly on GitHub. It's just GitHub eFromling Ballistica, and if you haven't played with this at all, like there's tutorials and stuff to get up and running, basically just to be able to like download the repo, and there's like pre-built binaries that you can use. So if you're running on like Windows or Linux or whatever, you can use this stuff pretty easily. Just go under, wiki here, getting started. There's stuff here that kind of talks about setting all that stuff up. But so for right now, the 1.7.20 update is only here. It's not available on test builds or anything like that. It's only on GitHub because I'd consider this like an alpha build. So if you're familiar with software development, alphas are kind of like not feature complete. They're sort of like work in progress sort of things. And then there's like a few things left to do, and then I would consider those betas once we get to that point. And for the beta builds, once we get to beta phase, that's when I'll put the test builds out. So you'll be able to get at it through, the standard ballistica.net downloads section, where right now it's still 1.7.19. But yeah, there's basically, I think I mentioned last time what is still needing to be done is just renaming some Python stuff. So if you come into source, assets, data, Python, most of this stuff, again, is organized into these new like feature set names, which I'll go into more detail on this stuff at some point. But, there's like the base feature set, the classic, plus, scene v1, UI v1, this template one, which is just meant to like show you how to make a feature set. But the one that is still not updated for the new feature set world is BASTD. So the old standard library, which is, where all the actors and activities and game types and this and that lives. So the very last thing I need to do is kind of finish untangling some of these feature sets from each other, and then move the standard library into some kind of feature set name. So it'll probably be, since these things have version numbers, so it's BA Scene v1, BA UI v1, all of the standard library stuff that uses those, because it's basically actors and maps and stuff that use Scene v1, it'll probably be called like BA Scene v1 lib, or for library. So basically just like, hey, this is a bunch of stuff built on top of Scene v1, or for the UI stuff, it'll be like, this is a bunch of stuff built on top of UI v1. So that's kind of the last renaming thing. And once that's done, then I will start to push out test builds and consider everything in like beta or like feature complete. And then if you start updating mods at that point, hopefully nothing further will break. But if you play with it right now, if you play with what's on GitHub, you'll probably still have some stuff changing under you. Like this BASTD stuff will be renaming, and there's probably a few other things that'll still be shifting around a little bit. But aside from that, it's mostly like the vast majority of the work is done. So you can see there's a lot changed. If you come into the initial check-in yesterday, so this last one was January 23rd, 2023 was the last thing I checked into the public repo. The next one was this one, which was yesterday, with 1,587 changes and 164,000 additions. So a lot has moved around and stuff, but hopefully it's not too unwieldy. So yeah, so that's that for 1.7. Again, I'm hoping to get these last changes done. Normally, I would say within the next week, but the one kind of oddity this week is my family is coming to visit tonight, like my parents. So they haven't come to California to visit me in quite a while, so I'm excited about that. But it means I probably won't be getting too much work done over the next 6 or 7 days while they're here. But then I'll get back to work after that. So I would say I'll be finishing this stuff up probably next week. Um, I can get a little bit more done before they get here tonight, but probably won't get to that point. Uh, but anyway, everything is getting very close here. For right now, like I said, if any of you do want to kind of play with this stuff, like please let me know if anything is broken. If you're just like playing the built-in games or using built-in functionality and you find something broken, please let me know. Because as far as I'm aware, I've been renaming stuff and moving stuff around, but I keep everything compiling, and it should theoretically, there's nothing that I know of that should be broken. So if something is broken, like I'd love to know that, So thanks in advance if you find anything broken. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll be chilling a bit, hanging out with my folks and showing them around LA and stuff. Though I haven't been down here in LA very long, so I don't know my way around LA too much myself. I need to. I want to kind of experiment with WSL a little bit more too. I have like my system. I have WSL on. It's I got it set up a few years ago, so I'm curious like if WSL has changed since then. If I update the version and stuff, like maybe I should probably do that at some point. But it's one of those things where like I got it working and it runs test builds, and so it's like I kind of don't want to touch it. I'm a little scared of like, oh, if I update it to the latest version, it's gonna like break everything. I'll see you later. Bonjour. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I did. I added some kind of explanations for things here. So if you go under, there's like readme files scattered about. So if you go under source, it tells a little bit here. But yeah, if you go under source Ballistica, this like this kind of goes over kind of the reorganization, basically like how the C++ layer has been reorganized. It's essentially like these feature set ideas, like these feature set concepts. It's essentially Python modules, so it's kind of just breaking the game or breaking the engine into different like Python modules. Even though each module has like a C++ component like built on top of it, and the C++ components can kind of like talk directly to each other. They don't have to go through Python. So essentially, it's still like a big C++ thing. It's just they're kind of behaving like Python modules, if that makes sense. So I tried to kind of explain the reasoning for it here. And if you're running the code, you can actually kind of see some of that. Like I have this boot log turned on by default. So if you're running the code here, you can see it kind of spinning up the individual feature set modules. So there's the core module, the core feature set, which is like the first thing that has to happen. Oh, and then there's this new thing, which is BAenv. So that's another new thing. It's the one like standalone little module that lives all by himself. And all this thing does, this thing is in charge of basically setting up Python so that it can run the game. So setting things like logging and setting Python paths and stuff that needs to happen like before any of like Ballistica modules get imported, because it's like system level stuff. So like logging and Python paths and stuff like that. So that's what this is doing. So basically it's importing like the core bits, like the basics to be able to run Ballistica stuff. It's setting up the environment. So this is just telling Python where to find scripts and where to look for like your mods and stuff like that. And then all this is basically importing all the different feature set modules. And this is what I still need to clean up a little bit, because to keep this code clean, basically I want it to be importing the base module, which is like the engine guts. Like we want to import that first and then like import this other stuff. And the engine guts should not be importing this other stuff. So there should be like a clean dependency tree, basically, just for sanity's sake. It's good to do stuff like that. So that's one of the things. You can see here it's complaining a few times because like, oh, BAUI got imported before base finished importing. So that means something something under base is importing scene v1 or UI v1 where it shouldn't be. So those are the kind of things that I'm still working on cleaning up just to get this system like nice and clean. So yeah, so once these little warning messages go away, that'll mean like my work is done. and renaming BASTD. So I'm almost done with boring technical stuff. Then we'll play some Explodinary. So yeah, anyone have any other questions on this 1.7 stuff, or just like what's out there now, or what will be coming, or anything like that, or getting started on it? Yeah, these links are all good in terms of just getting your system set up. Oh, another thing, yeah, this all uses Python 3.11 now. So if you've been working with the existing ones, you probably have 3.10 set up. I try to have this stuff be pretty strict on like all the tools and scripts and the game itself. It expects like that exact version of Python. Just there's a few reasons. One is so then we can use like all the fun latest stuff in the new versions of Python without, because otherwise if we made it work with like any version of Python, we'd have to limit ourselves to like old versions of Python, and that's no fun. Or like limit ourselves to like the features that were available a few versions ago. But I also find, something like this where in most cases, like the Android version has its own copy of Python, like it's bundled all together itself. So we can kind of control like exactly which version of Python the game is shipping with in most cases. So I think it's kind of nice to only have to test against one version. It kind of makes it easier for sanity's sake. I know it makes it a little bit harder if you're like a server owner or, trying to set up a system to test this stuff, because you have to like install that exact version of Python somehow. But it's hopefully not too bad. And there's some tutorials on the wiki in terms of like setting up a virtual environment, which is kind of nice. So you can kind of set up a Python 3.10 install with the exact modules you need and kind of insulate that from like the rest of your system and stuff like that. Okay. Can you add audio streaming to the audio engine? Like what do you mean by that? Like streaming? I know it does. I mean, it streams technically when it's playing music files, like it streams them from disk. Like what sort of streaming are you talking? We'll get to Explodinary soon. But yeah, currently the game streams when you're doing music. It should be streaming. Maybe we'd want a flag or something. Like if you're playing an audio, if you want to play like a really long bit of audio, like maybe, I don't know if it would make sense to like tell the engine like, hey, stream this, so you don't have to like load the whole thing first. If it's causing hitches or something like that. WSL, it shouldn't be. I mean, that's a good question. Maybe other people can answer that better. It shouldn't be too processor intensive. There's two versions of it. There's like WSL1 and WSL2. Like WSL1, it kind of does a different thing where basically it tries to execute Linux stuff, but it just like passes all the system calls through to like Windows stuff. So I think it's pretty lightweight. WSL2 is actually like a virtual machine though, where it like literally runs like Ubuntu kind of under the hood. So like you basically have Linux running alongside Windows at that point. And I think they both have their advantages and disadvantages. I think WSL2 is more powerful, or like it can do more stuff that Linux can do because it like is Linux. But yeah, that one might, if you have a potato laptop, WSL2 might be a little slow perhaps. So maybe try WSL1. New characters in the new update. Not in 1.7.20. 1.7.20 is purely a technical thing. So I was trying to answer before the roadmap, Siegel. I'm too slow. Oh, I love it. Oh, I guess, okay, it's a bot. That's, oh, does the bot respond to, okay, that is a command for okay, I see how this works. I was thinking there's just like someone ready at the go, like ready to post this like Siegel GIF, but I don't mind doing a quick explainer though. The plan is 1.8 will be including asset downloads. That's kind of like the big new feature alongside this feature set stuff, which is kind of enabling us to do the asset downloads. But along with that, I do want to do some new skins and maps and things like that, just to kind of celebrate the fact that it's possible. So I do intend to include that either with 1.8 or maybe like with shortly after 1.8, because it's like that won't depend on once 1.8 is out, then we can add stuff like anytime. So yeah, it'll be very exciting. There is no beating the roadmap. The one thing we'll have to see though, like I'm still a little bit unsure of how I'll go about it, is 1.8, like I said, there will probably be like a scene v2, like BA scene v2, which will have asset downloads, because it'll be like slightly a slightly different way. Like for loading assets, you'll have to go through a slightly different API to do that and stuff like that. But that'll support streaming assets. So I'm kind of curious, like whether to try to get like all the existing gameplay stuff running under Scene V2, or trying to get like a really simple Scene V2 that only has a little bit of gameplay, but then you can have streaming assets. Or if you see what I'm saying, where it's like I'm not sure if downloadable assets will be available like all throughout the game immediately, or if it'll be like kind of a specific part of the game that uses Scene V2 or something. So we'll have that part will remain to be seen. But yeah, they will at least make an appearance in some in some form. Oh, is this that's WSL? Is that WSL 1 or 2? I'm curious. I'm curious, like in the WSL 2 case, because like I said, in that case, it's actually running Linux as a virtual machine. Like, does that actually show up under like Windows Task Manager, like with an accurate CPU usage, or is that virtual machine like magically using CPU and Windows doesn't know about it, or that would be a question I'd have. But I think in WSL1, I think it's basically just like a Windows tasks or Windows process, so I would expect it to show up in that case. Okay. I don't know like what is the default now. Because I know like when I first the first version of WSL, of course, was 1, but then they added 2 later. But I think they kept 1 around because it's like it's a different architecture, and in some cases, like I think if you're running this stuff on GitHub or something, you can't run 2 because like it doesn't, or in certain cases where you're running stuff under a virtual machine anyway, like you can't run other virtual machines. So I think WSL1 works in those kind of cases because it's not a virtual machine, if that makes sense. Oh geez, Roadmap Seagull's back. What happened? Oh, okay. Looks like WSL1. Okay, cool. At least if that's, yeah, if that's what that is referring to. I think the roadmap thing is funny. It's okay. Oh, well, I'll be dead by the time a new character's added the game. Hey, I'm super old. I'll be dead first, so I have the least time. So I'm gonna try to hurry and get some new characters in there. Yeah, my friends tease me though, because I've been working on Bomb Squad now. Or my friends from like Pixar. I left Pixar 10 years ago, which is crazy to think. So I've been doing working on Bomb Squad, working for a few years with my friends on their games and stuff. But they're always teasing me. They're like, Eric, Bomb Squad looks exactly like it did 10 years ago. Like, what have you've just been wasting your like, what have you been doing this whole time? So I'm like, I like server stuff and technical stuff, and I'm working on this, downloading assets, and I swear I'm making progress. Huh. On my way to preview WSL2. Yeah, I'd be curious. Like now, if you just install WSL like with whatever the default install routine is, like does it give you 2 or 1? Yeah, we should have a roadmap seagull as a character. just, just like an inside joke. Just call it roadmap seagull. It's just like a seagull. I guess, yeah, maybe you could have like the glowing eye thing as like an emote or something. Cool, cool. Well, I think we're probably winding down with 1720 talk. Any other last topics on 1720, or shall we try out this new explodinary? Oh, by default it gives you one. Okay, I actually kind of like that because I think one is kind of useful, and I do hope they still are improving that and keeping it supported. So I kind of like that they do that by default. And then if you want the crazy VM setup, you can kind of opt in. Can't join 1720 server build. What? Yeah, in general, like up until what, an hour ago or oh, is that what this is? Sorry, I things are passing by. All right. So, I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary here. That looks like a normal boot log. So you run that server and then you can't, like, you aren't seeing it, or like when you join it kicks you out, or what happens? Yeah, Seagull called roadmap. I love it. We totally have to do that. Like, why is there a seagull called roadmap? Yeah, we need some like submarine references at some point, and then yeah, roadmap seagull. Oh, did I miss this part? This looks like a stack trace. Oh, segfault. This is in the latest. Because there was a seg fault in the server builds up until like an hour or two ago. So if you're not running the absolute latest on GitHub, like try to grab that. Yeah, it would be fun to have some lore. Okay, maybe Roadmap Seagull. Maybe that can be like the first official downloadable character, Roadmap Seagull. We can somehow like get some audio of like someone saying roadmap and like combine it with audio of a seagull. So I don't, yeah, somehow like a seagull yelling roadmap. Just everything he says, you punch him, roadmap. But yeah, anyway, stuff like this, like any things like this, like crashes and stuff that you're seeing with 1720, like please do send them my way, because yeah, aside from finishing up this refactoring, I do want to be like clearing these crashes out, because I'm sure there's going to be a few of them in there. Most of them are like really easy. They're like null pointer things, because it's like all this, the game is like initializing itself in a different way with like this module imports this one and then this one imports this one, and if something tries to do something before it's imported the right thing, it'll probably have a null pointer and crash. So there's definitely little weird things like that just need to be cleared out. But hopefully it'll be easy to clear them all out. What is the fate of PS 1.4? It's still around. You can still run it. I don't have any plans as of yet to like block access to it or anything. Servers should still be running 1.4 compatible netcode for a while. Probably, I will say though, when 1.4 will really start to kind of get deprecated is when people start hosting using Scene v2. Because Scene v2 will be a completely like new protocol. So in order to join Scene v2 servers, or in order to join servers that are hosting with Scene v2 mode, you'll have to have a 1.8 or whatever version Scene v2 shows up in. So eventually, once servers kind of start hosting Scene v2, which they should, because that'll let them do asset downloads and cool stuff like that, and hopefully better netcode. At that point, 1.4 versions will no longer be able to connect to those servers. You should still be able to host in Scene v1 though, and Scene v1 is compatible with 1.4 and all the old stuff, because it's like the old hard-coded asset system and stuff like that. So hopefully that answers that question. But I don't think there's any technical need to like cut off access to the 1.4 people. So if you still want to host old servers, you should still be able to do that, and people should still be able to join them. At some point in probably the far future, we'll probably remove the Scene v1 feature set from the game. So, yeah, at some point, like we'll probably be up to like Scene v35 or something like that. But I'll probably keep Scene v1 in there for quite a while because that lets us connect to old games. But once like nobody is using Scene v1 anymore, at some point we'll take it out because it is kind of, old code. And once we have something that works way better, like there's, at some point we'll have to say goodbye. An owl character. Owl would be cool. Oh. There's so many requests for like animals. It's which is good. Animals are fun. I should have saved the email. Like one of the first, I got some email from like I think it was from a guy in Russia or something like that, or from like a kid in Russia, just like please add bear, or something. This was like years ago. So at some point I did add a bear, but it was just like a very short like please add bear. Okay, so. Oh, a goat now too. It's tricky, some of these. I mean, it kind of has to be. I guess you can have a goat standing on two legs. I mean, that'll look more like a mythological creature though, like a faun or something, or like a. It starts to look like a centaur, or not a centaur, but when you see like a, faun, yeah, whatever those are called with like Pan's Labyrinth, that kind of thing, like the mythological creatures with goat legs. Strange thing happened. 9 to 10 servers are using same v2 account. Somehow playlist requested by one server applied to another server. Whoa. If they are all using the same account, like I think it's a little bit hacky, like how the server stuff works, but basically it does, like when you set up a server playlist, I think it does store that playlist as part of that like server account. So it is, stored up on the cloud somewhere. So if you have a bunch of servers using the same account somehow, then they might wind up pulling the same playlist because they are technically sharing playlists. It's probably a bad engineering design. Like, it probably shouldn't be working that way. But yeah, that probably is, kind of a silly technical limitation of using the same account for different servers. I should, like now that we have V2 accounts, like it shouldn't use that, or like we should set that up to do something different and not, pull everything through like the V1 account stuff. Because it would be, it does seem like it would be very handy to have, like a V2 account and just have a bunch of servers signed in as you on that account. So then you can like manage them or whatever. But you probably don't want them to all be, running the same playlist, whether you ask them to or not. Any new power-ups? Yeah, I'd love to add new power-ups at some point. That's another thing that I think is part of like Scene v2. I know this has been brought up a lot, is making it easier to make new power-ups, because like modders make fun power-ups all the time, but it's very like you have to basically like hack them into like the spaz script. It's not like with maps or with like game types where you can have just like a separate little Python module for each one, so you can like just add like a new, you can basically add a new game type pretty easily by like dropping a Python file in. But for for power-ups, that's not as easy. So I want to make it more like that, where people could start to like write power-ups as just individual little Python files, and then and that's my technical plan, is to do that. But then at that point, it would be great to start adding more power-ups. I'm kind of shying away from it until then, though, just because I don't want to like make the spaz file any more ugly than it is. Maybe better at sculpting, or maybe more patient. Like I feel like some of the earlier stuff, I was kind of not trying to make it look bad on purpose, but just trying to make it look simple on purpose, because that's kind of like what the game's style is. It's just like this is like the imagination of a child, like like or something a kid could put together to play with, in his this is like his imaginary battle world. So I didn't want it to look like too fancy and well made, but with stuff like Grumbledore for some of the later stuff, I think I spent a bit more time on it just to, I don't know, make it look a little better. But I mean, I do kind of want it to have that. Like that's generally the vibe I'm going for. Is just like this is not like some gritty, realistic looking. I mean, it's kind of realistic and it's made from real life stuff sort of way, but not in like the characters don't look like photoreal characters. They don't look like humans. So even though it's like kind of very violent in a way, like things blowing apart and stuff, it's it kind of maintains like a bit of a goofy vibe. So it's that's what I was going for anyway. A little bit like Looney Tunes violence. Bushes. Turn invisible when in bushes until someone comes in close. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that'd be an interesting dynamic. I feel like the technical part of me is thinking like, how could we make that work technically? Or like, how could we make that work with the spaz actor? Something where that could plug in easily. Because this goes back to other ideas of basically just wanting to make these things like power ups and bomb types or whatever, like wanting to be able to just add new things as easy as possible. So things like this bush idea, it'd be great to be able to like drop that in and just have it work. Um, or once we have, it gets me thinking too. Like once I would like to generalize things so we could have other types of actors that you could plug in instead of spaz. So that's, like the mini penguins we were talking about. So every player could be controlling a mini penguin or something. So it just makes me think like, how could we make something like that bush that would work with spaz actors, but also mini penguin actors or whatever other actors we have in there that people were controlling. So anyway, but yeah, that'd be a cool thing to play with. Yeah, it'd be interesting to play with some of these things in modes. Just like the teleport idea, or something like that, like the bush idea. I mean, you'd almost need like maybe you'd need a special play mode for it or something where maybe everyone has certain weapons or something, or like I don't know, sniper rifles or I don't know, just some like a slightly different play style where instead of just like running and mayhem, it's a bit more like stealthy or something, or like it'd be interesting if you could get gameplay like that by just limiting to specific weapons or something, or specific, I don't know, something specific on particular maps. Penguins versus snowmen. Yes. We have so many little like ideas and concepts that we have to just like fill out. Or just like in jokes and things like that. Penguins versus snowmen's being one of them. But yeah, going back to it, like it would be fun to play with some of these things. I know like one thing I was mentioning recently is like, what if you had a mode where running was limited, or what if like what would gameplay be like if you could only run in very short bursts, or what if you couldn't run at all? Like what if everyone had like heavy weapons and you couldn't, I don't know, like heavy melee weapons or something, but you couldn't run while you're holding one of those, and so like it would be mostly people like moving around slowly in that case. Like it'd be interesting to explore, like just play with ideas like that. Character names. Some of them have backstories, like Snake Shadow. Snake Shadow is a combination of my two favorite GI Joe ninjas. If you haven't know GI Joe lore at all, maybe you'd know those. Um, let's see. Some of the, I don't know, like Pascal the Penguin. That's just kind of like a cartoony sounding name. It sounded fun. And Pascal is the first programming language I learned. Um, I learned that before C. Pascal was kind of, I guess it was a big thing in like the 80s and maybe up to the 90s for some situations. But yeah, like my high school programming class, it taught Pascal. So I learned a little bit of Pascal. Um, but it was completely useless basically. So I learned C shortly thereafter, which was actually still in use in some places. But anyway, I think that's where the name Pascal the Penguin came from. but it was also kind of like an animated movie or like like a cartoon name. Because if you notice, like cartoon names always have like the same letter. It's like Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, stuff like that. That's a very common thing, is like starting with the same letter that the last name has. So Pascal Penguin, Bernard Bear. How does master server keep track of public server? What unique field? Yeah, it is. Oh, I'd have to dive into that. It's been a while since I looked at the master server code. I believe it is. It might be something. Oh shoot. I would bring up my. I'd bring up my little page that has like my list of server info and stuff, so I could probably refresh my memory that way. But I don't want to show like all the server IPs, just in case people are like watching this later to hack servers or something. But if you remind me after this, I can check. I think it might be some key that's based on a combination of like their maybe like their account ID or something, and maybe their IP or port, like maybe all three of those or something. I'd have to check. Huh. Ping delay in public party query is still a problem. Interesting. Okay, I can revisit that and see like if I can figure out why that might be happening. If I recall, though, that was mostly random. I think, like unless there's something else that I messed up or like I missed, but I think it would just deliver you like a big giant list of, all the servers running, and then your local machine just like randomly should go through that list and ping everything. So I don't think there was. I'm trying to remember what was the issue that was happening before. I think before it was just like delivering it in alphabetical order or something like that, and so. Some servers would always get pinged last, so they would basically wind up, they would stay gray until like, all other servers had been pinged. But I think now it should like shuffle it. So I'm not sure why that would be, I'm not sure why that would change as the server is getting older. But again, I can take a look at the code. I won't be able to figure it out by thinking about it right now. Remove max server per IP check. I'd have to check on that too. Yeah, I don't remember removing it. There might be a limit at like 4. There could be a limit of 3 or 4 if you're seeing that. Like maybe that's actually happening. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think I was wanting to add that limit for like joining queues or something, like one or two IPs per queue. But if in terms of hosting servers, I'm pretty sure I wanted to allow people to host more than 1 or 2 servers on one IP, because as long as you're using different ports for it. I mean, I have servers running, like 10 or 20 games, not necessarily public ones, but I should triple check on that. Make sure I'm not like blocking my own servers. That would suck. Master server open source when? That unfortunately probably won't. Like maybe I can do part of it, like part of like some of the UI. Again, I know I'm terrible about. I should get a REST API for talking to the master server, but I don't. I mean, maybe hopefully the stuff is secure enough where even if I did open source it, maybe it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I probably won't do that, just because I do need to keep kind of control of that, and if I open source that might encourage people to make their own master server, and then suddenly I can't make money from the game anymore, and then I can't buy groceries, and then I starve to death. So that's no fun. Yeah, the transaction stuff is, yeah, I hate the transaction stuff. The old stuff is, for the V1 server, I'm basically, my plan for the V1 server is just like keep it running as long as I can. Which reminds me, I know my hope was to transition everyone to the V2 stuff, but before like the end of the year, because Google will be shutting down the old Python 2 runtime that the V1 stuff uses. But I don't think I'm going to have all functionality over by the end of the year. So at some point, I need to probably take a few week or two. I don't know how long it'll take, and update the old V1 server to run on Python 3. So I'm procrastinating on that, but I need to do that at some point before the end of the year because I want to keep the old V1 stuff. It would be good to have that because then I can, anyone still playing on old 1.4 builds or whatever, can still host games and join games and, can have their old tournament scores available and stuff like that. So I should get all that stuff updated for Python 3. But anyway, yeah, the V1 master server stuff, that's mostly in maintenance mode. Like if there's anything extremely broken, I'll try to fix it, but it's such like old crusty code, like I don't want to do anything major with it. So it's mostly just in like try to keep it working as long as I can mode, if that makes sense. The V2 stuff is nice and clean. I'm very happy with that. So I will, be moving it whenever I can. I'll be moving functionality to the V2 stuff. So, like squads mode will be the big thing built on top of V2. So that, hopefully at some point in the not too distant future, all the cool stuff will be running on squads mode and V1 stuff will be less and less and less important. So the little background here. So the master server, if you poke around in like your local server scripts, the master server should be like sending you a big list of all the servers out there, and it should be it gives you like a PD value, which is like ping delay, basically telling you like, hey, ping this one, then this one, then this one, then this one. And it should be like randomizing that. So when you first get that list, it should be like completely random, like which ones you're supposed to ping first. But if you're not seeing that, like if there's any weird bugs where, some server is always getting a terrible PD value, like that means I need to fix something. Or maybe there's always a chance like whatever I'm using for randomizing it like isn't actually random. Maybe the random seed is messed up. Who knows? But you should be able to intercept that code somewhere. That should be under. If you just look, I think that's under just the browsing UI for like master server stuff or joining public servers. Oh, that's funny. Master Server 2.0. I mean, there is Master Server 2.0. That's the, all the account V2 stuff is running on a completely separate server than all the account V1 stuff. And all the V2 account stuff, it is a lot smarter. So, whenever it establishes a connection to the V2 server, it knows, it like saves which one is closest, like which region is closest. So it tries to like talk to the regional server there. It's just like all the V1 stuff is not doing any of that. That's why it sends you like the entire list of like, hey, here's all the servers in the world. Like ping all of these, please. It makes me wonder, like I could maybe have it do something smart there, maybe where if there's V2 info, like so like where you are in the world, like maybe you could pass that along to the V1 query to be like, hey, send me the master server list and the ones closest to here, please, or something. I don't know. I could maybe make it smarter if need be, but again, that's old V1 code that I'm trying not to touch. Okay, anyway. Enough about dry technical stuff. We should play some games. So yeah, especially it's already 9 after. Sorry, Sock, I've been delaying. I told you like, oh, we don't have too much tech stuff to go over, but here we are an hour and 10 minutes later. All right, let's do this. So, Mr. Sock, do you want to give us an overview on what's new or whatever, or should we just join and find out, or you want to send us chat messages from the game? Okay. All right, and I've turned on audio, so we should be hearing some of the nice music this time. So let's see, where do I have this stored? Oh, my cloud stuff, I think. Extraordinary. Here we go. Ah, so soothing. Yeah, let's see if I can. Okay. Yo. Nice to see so many V2 icons. Hopefully, like I said, at some point when everyone is V2, we can start to give, you know, make that a requirement and then do some more interesting icons. Oh dear. Slightly insanity. What? Is that big giant bomb, like, intentional? Whoa. Oh, jeez. What? What? There's so much going on. I feel like I'm on drugs or something. Yeah, serious. Ooh, oh, good throw. What? Totally not a bomb dash play. Whoa. That was pretty crazy. Oops. Obligatory Mexican filter. Oh, jeez. Ah. Dang. That was brutal. Oh, jeez. Farewell. Holy moly. What? Oh, jeez. One of your legendary throws. Dang. Hey, we got one game. Dang, well that was chaos. That was a lot of chaos. Oh no. Oof. It is interesting, like, kind of chaotic stuff like that screen stuff does give you a little bit of cover for, like, capturing flags. Oh no. No! I was about to return that flag. And then I flew away. What? Oh. Oof. Oh. The timeless mine faceplant. That anvil is brutal, man. Oh, wow. Nice. Oh, jeez. Anvil! Haha! Nice! Go purple. Oops. Whoa, ah. That mode is trippy. I'm actually curious, like, how you did that. Like, what? That's cool, though. Oh. Well played. Oops. Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh. Where am I? Oh no! Sorry. Oh, my bad. Oh no! Oh no! All dead. Not good. Come on. Stupid ice. Nice. Yay! Good job, Purple. Chaotic FFA? Sure. Yeah, the chaos stuff is pretty crazy. Oh. I think a lot of people are. No. Aw. Oh, jeez. Good job, Sock. Let's do it. You Ballistica standard library. We got 8 minutes left, so we got another round or two. So many Mel screams. Well done again, Mr. Sock. Well, that was crazy. That was intense. All right, I will bow out now since we're at about the 2-hour mark. But wow. Well, thanks for sharing. That was fun. It was it was definitely it added an interesting element in terms of just like the sheer insanity. I almost feel like for me, I feel like that mode could be fun, like maybe scaled down a little bit, or like every other, or like interspersed with other rounds or something. Just like, and here's some crazy mode for you. So yeah, it's fun to be insane a bit, but my thought would be like it's fun to like be insane a bit and then be normal for a bit and then maybe a little bit of insane bit or something like that. So I think it's some definitely fun ideas there, but it definitely like at times I just felt like I'm like what's going on. Again, it was like being on drugs or something like that. A little bit like what? Like I'm flying now, or it was interesting. Like as a developer, like my first thought in some of those cases were just like, oh crap, is something broken in the engine or something? But well, that's what I was asking for, like the things appearing in front of the screen or something. It is interesting ideas though, like things like like Mario Kart does that, like the squid ink that appears up on your screen and stuff and like blocks you for a minute. Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to like play with different timings of that or something like that, or like have the crazy stuff appear like less frequently, or maybe even like triggered by somebody picking up a power up or pressing a big button in the middle of the map or something like that. Just something where it would be more like not predictable, but more like clear when it's going to happen or what's going to happen. I picked up on it with the stuff on the side in terms of like the what's coming next and all that. It was just like definitely like when it's set to like 7 seconds or something, and it's just like there's so much hitting you at once. So anyway, though, it was super interesting. Definitely a different take on gameplay. So anyway, everyone, it's been super fun or super insane. But yeah, it's been fun hanging with y'all the normal time. I should be here next week the normal time, so we'll have our normal. Even though I probably won't get too much done before then. Like I said, my family is going to be coming to visit later today, so I'll probably be doing family stuff for most of this week. But I should be around for next office hours. But anyway, Sock, thanks again for sharing. Latest update, tons of fun as always. And I will keep, at least for the rest of the day, I'll keep working on this 1.7.20 update. So we'll, get that even closer. So hopefully get some fun downloadable stuff going soon. So anyway, been fun all, and everyone have a good week, and I will talk to you all folks next time. So peace out.